Good morning. Today I like still to diniragyapon ta kang so stick to David, but we'll look at it on a different angle. Dagan ang mga higayon ato na storyahan si David, even sa discussion sa Psalms. And yes, we will be in some particular Psalms, so we'll take a break from the culture and narrative somehow. But I want to talk about one of the I believe gifts given to us by God. Very critical to remember this. Diba? Ang Bible is just about remembering things. And when God created us, He is a God who creates. He creates the world. And in fact, He creates a clean heart within us. Psalm 52. Of all the word nga creates sa Bible, it is really God who is the one who is creating. So, nindot kayo na. He created the world. Even though we fell into sin, we rebelled against Him. He created a clean heart within us. That's like what David said in his Psalm 52. Now, He created us with mind to think, the ability, the capacity to think, the capacity to feel, love, emote, sadness. I think before, that's been the question, is there sadness already when He created us? I think, yeah. But not the sadness nga murag kuan because of pain, because of sickness. But it's part of emotion. So He created us with a volition to think, heart or emotion to feel, and also to choose. These are wonderful gifts given to us by God. It's because we are created in His image, the same image with Him. I'd like to talk about the emotions today. And this is where I believe, for me, as I was thinking about it, these three things, our thinking, our emotions, our choice, they go together. It's really a cycle. If you see it, mura bitaw glingin. But in the middle of its cycle, yes, it's a cycle, but the middle of it all is the emotions. When we think, dili kayo ta, it doesn't really affect much of us. But when we feel it, it's murag, diba? Murag tanan gyud ang bation nato ang pagbati. So bitaw ka na. Diba? And I think the emotion is the center of it all. And I think there is a reason why the heart is in the center of it all. Diba? The emotions, very important. So, what I'd like to talk about is emotional distress. Many of us go through emotional distress. We don't talk about it, but we are going through it. Now, in the time of David, in the narrative of David, I'd like to see that in that angle. Mga kagwapo sa Bible, you could see it in different angles. And David was through a lot of emotional stress. Not only emotional stress, but emotional highs and lows. May panahon nga maayo, may panahon nga low. May panahon gikan sa gipili sa Ginoo, gikan sa pagtigbalantay sa karnero, ngadto sa dito siya nag-alagad kang Saulo until he then became the king. So, yeah, he's been through highs and lows. Mga bata din mugulay sa ubanan sa tubig din So anyway, he's been through a lot of highs and lows. But as I look to the narrative, lisod i-identify naman kang David because he is king. And when you are king, you are God. You are God. Whatever you ask people to do, ask people to give to you, you can get it. That's why it shows that he got Bathsheba. Diba? Kay hari good siya. Nobody dared question him, and even Jonathan was having a hard time to confront him because he was the king. But the comfort is, even though he is the king, he was the king, he still was going through emotional distress. And when he was going through emotional distress, you know where he went? To the King of Kings, and that is God Himself. Dagan gyapon sa didto. And somehow we find comfort in that. Not on his position because he is a king. We have leadership positions, but not like the king. Lahi gina siya. It's even different from the president. Lahi kayo, the king, the president, we could remove it. Diba? But the king, you could not because it's monarchy. And that's why a lot of countries do not do that anymore because only one family then rules. The buena di pamilya. Okay? Ang mga pamilya lang yun nga na ay dugong bughaw. Tawag nga, diba? And then it's like nobody can lead, only their family. It's also a problem. Monarchies are having that problem, di ba? Pero lahi ang power sa king is sa presidente. So Yeah, but even though he was like that, he still went on to the King of Kings when he was in emotional distress. In Psalm 42 verse 11, ingon siya dito, daghan nag-istorya ni David if you read it. Siya, tungod sa mga kaaway, tungod sa problema sa yung family, tungod sa problema guilt. He also had problem with guilt. And then we see that even though he was the king, he was still human. Paura mangyapon siya. And then in Psalm 42 verse 11, he says, why are you discouraged? Why are you downcast, all my soul? Okay? Why are you so discouraged? Ingon siya, put your hope in God. And that's where I'd like to focus today. The word actually is a Hebrew, di man ko eksperto, but you could see it, you could search it in Google. It's actually an action word, okay? And this is where we come in, okay? When we are in emotional distress, there is this, we have to remember this, okay? Ingon dito ni David, put your hope in God. The other word is Yahkal sa Hebrew. Yahkal, murag ka ng kahoy siguro. Yahkal nga kahoy, amot kung di agikan. But the meaning is very deep because it to be expectant for the future, okay? Waiting for the future. Basically, you are putting your hope in Christ that you're expecting that it will be better in the future. Okay? It will be better. Now, when during the time of David, what does he expect? He's the king already. He can get whatever he wants. But lagi, the thing that he got, nakakuha niya, wala man to nagpuno sa iyang kinabuhi. Di ba? Wala gayon. And then he realized that there's a future, better future. There's a hope. Now for us, we always think we refer to the kingdom, the panahon nga na si Kristo maghari. Sa ilang panahon mo yung is this talking about the Messiah? Murag wala man kaayo. Now may discussion about the Messiah, but Jesus as a person, mobile lang gilauman. But they knew that it will get better in the future. Yes, somebody will come, it will get better in the future. But the question is, what about today? What matters is today. If we're going through troubles, emotional distress today, what is this to me? Well, the word itself is telling, it's not just really the distant future, but it's the near future. Tomorrow is a future. So when we are in emotional distress, we have to remember. We have to remember and we have to choose this one. Because diba, it's a cycle, they go together. Okay, we have to choose this one and remember, come to think of it, that we could expect for a better tomorrow, better the day after tomorrow, because Christ is already there. God is already there. Okay? So that's the mindset. And if you have that mindset, renews your mind, it affects your emotions, and you choose to really put your hope in God. Actually, it's a very laborious word. Laborious. This is really work to really put yourself into that position, to have that thinking that it will get better, not because we could do it better, we could work this one, but no, because we know Christ is there. God is there. Christ was there in the future of David. Then, Christ as our history, and now He is even our future. Good thing for us because we saw this one in the Bible. That's why we are blessed, kita ng mga tumutuo. And we see the Bible, its narrative. It has come to fruition na tinuod siya, and then we are awaiting pa sa unsay mahitabo. And that's a blessing for all of us. That's why people. The encourage for all of us, for me, for all of us, is what we put our hope in Christ. We put our expectation, okay, of a better future tomorrow, not because of what we could do, but because of Christ. It will be better, okay? This is not prosperity preaching. This is putting things in perspective, okay? Now, there are things in our heart that we could not say. There are things in the heart that we only tell God. He knows that one. But that's encouragement. It will get better in the future, not because we work for it, because Christ is there already. He knows. So we continue to Yahkal in God, Yahkal in Christ. Ang gwapo kayo na word. So dumduman na today, this week, Yahkal. Gahay nga kahoy. When we remember that, we have to put our hope in Christ. We have to remember that, think of it. And we have to make that decision, the choice to really put our hope, expectant, okay, of a better future tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, because Christ is there. And that's amazing. That is our hope. Again, our hope is not in the leaders of this world, okay, because people will fail. So somehow we hope, we trust, but ultimately our hope is in Christ because He is there already ahead of us. So let's Yahkal on Him, put our hope in Him. So good morning. Thank you for your time and blessings.